The sirens weren't even for him. They were screaming past him, bouncing off the brick walls, tearing through the afternoon air. But still, his heart started racing like he was the one being chased. He was just a black man standing on a sidewalk, holding his little daughter's hand, waiting for the light to turn green. That's all. No crime, no weapon, no running, just a father and a child. But in his mind, a single thought hit like a punch to the chest. Please, God, don't let today be the day. Because in America, when you look like him, normal moments don't always stay normal. Sometimes they turn into headlines. Sometimes they turn into funerals. And sometimes they turn into stories nobody ever forgets. His daughter squeezed his hand and looked up at him with those big innocent eyes. "Daddy, why you so tight?" she asked. He forced a smile. "Nothing, baby. Just hold on, okay?" What he didn't say was, "I'm scared. And I don't even know why yet." Across the street, a white woman stood with her groceries, watching the same light, lost in her own world, scrolling her phone, thinking about dinner, bills, life. Two people, same sidewalk, same city, same moment, completely different fears, and neither of them knew. Their lives were about to collide in a way that would expose a truth America keeps trying to ignore, because racism doesn't always wear a hood. Sometimes it wears a uniform, sometimes it wears a smile, sometimes it says, "I was just doing my job," and sometimes it changes everything in one single second. The light turned green. He stepped forward, and that's when the shout came. "Hey, stop right there!" The voice was sharp, loud, commanding. His body froze before his mind could even catch up. Muscle memory, generational memory, survival memory. He slowly turned around. A police officer stood behind him, hand already resting on his belt. Not drawn, not raised, but ready, always ready. "What's the problem, officer?" he asked, calm, respectful, the way his father taught him, the way his father's father taught him. The officer looked at him, then at the little girl, then back at him. "You match a description." Those 4 words, the most dangerous sentence a black man can hear. "Description of who?" he asked gently. The officer hesitated. "Suspicious male in the area." Suspicious, for existing, for breathing, for walking while black. "I'm just taking my daughter home from school," he said, lifting their joined hands slightly, proof of innocence like he even needed proof. The little girl felt the tension now. Her fingers tightened. "Daddy, I want to go home." The white woman across the street finally looked up from her phone. She saw the scene. A cop, a black man, a child, the air thick with something unspoken. Her stomach twisted. She'd seen videos. She'd heard stories. She'd said, "That's messed up," from the safety of her couch. But this was real life, 10 feet away. The officer's tone shifted, colder now. "Turn around for me. Just want to make sure you're not carrying anything." The father swallowed. He knew his rights. He also knew how fragile those rights could become when fear and bias took the wheel. Slowly, carefully, he turned, keeping one hand on his daughter so she wouldn't feel abandoned. The little girl's voice trembled. "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby," he whispered. "You didn't do nothing wrong. Daddy didn't either." But the way the officer's eyes scanned him said something different. Not guilty, not innocent, just suspicious. And in that moment, the white woman did something she'd never done before. She stepped forward. "Officer," she said, her voice shaky but clear, "I've been standing here the whole time. He didn't do anything. He was just crossing the street with his kid." The officer glanced at her, surprised. 2 witnesses now, 2 realities colliding. For a second, everything hung in the balance. This could go one of 2 ways: a quiet apology, or another story the news would play on repeat. The officer looked back at the man, then at the little girl. Something flickered in his eyes. Was it doubt? Was it conscience? Or was it just calculation? He slowly removed his hand from his belt. "All right," he said. "You're free to go. Just be careful next time." "Careful? Of what?" "Walking. Existing." The father nodded, because sometimes nodding is safer than arguing. "Thank you, officer." He took his daughter and crossed the street, his heart still pounding like he'd just escaped something invisible but deadly. The white woman watched them go. She felt relief, but also shame. Relief that it didn't turn violent. Shame that she'd almost stayed silent. And she realized something that day. Racism isn't just about the people who pull the trigger. It's also about the people who look away. That moment would have ended right there. A small incident, a near miss, another story that almost happened. But fate wasn't done. Because that father, that little girl, That officer and that woman. Their paths were about to cross again. And next time, there would be cameras, there would be consequences, and there would be a truth so powerful. It would force a whole community to look at itself in the mirror and ask a question nobody likes to answer. What if it was your child? Standing there?
They met again 3 weeks later. Same neighborhood. Different day, completely different energy. The father's name was Marcus, a warehouse supervisor, a church on Sunday, homework every night kind of dad. The kind of man who believed if he stayed in his lane, followed the rules, kept his head down, the world would eventually leave him alone. He was wrong. That afternoon, his daughter Layla had a school recital. First one. Front row. Phone fully charged. Smile ready. He never made it inside. A patrol car rolled up fast, too fast. Same officer, David Carter. This time, there was no grocery woman to speak up. No crowd, no witnesses, just blue lights and assumptions. Step out of the vehicle. Marcus complied. Hands visible, voice calm, heart pounding. What's going on, officer? Your car matches one involved in a robbery. Again with the match as a description. Same words. Different day, same fear. Layla was in the back seat clutching her little program. Daddy, are we late? He tried to smile. Not yet, baby. But the officer's tone got sharper. Turn around. Hands behind your back. Cold metal clicked. Layla started crying. Please, she's just a kid, Marcus said. Can you at least let her... Sir, do not resist. I'm not resisting. I'm just asking you... And then the world exploded. Another patrol car. Another officer. A hand on a gun that never should have moved. A misunderstanding. A radio call with the wrong plate number. A second too much tension. Marcus was slammed against the car. Layla screamed. People finally came running. Phones out, shouts, chaos. And that was when the truth came out. The so-called robbery suspect? Already in custody. Different car. Different man. Too late. Marcus lay on the pavement, breathing hard. Not shot, but broken in a way cameras don't always show. Broken trust. Broken dignity. Broken in front of his child. The crowd was silent. The officers stood there, realizing the mistake. I'm sorry, one of them muttered. Sorry. A word that couldn't erase the terror in a little girl's eyes. That video went viral. Not because it was the worst, but because it was real. And because of what happened next. The officer from the first day, David Carter, saw it online that night. He recognized the face. The kid. The hands. He recognized himself in the background of a system he'd never questioned. And for the first time, the badge felt heavy. The next morning, he did something no one expected. He went to the hospital. No cameras. No press. Just him.
Marcus was sitting by Layla's bed. She had a panic attack after the incident. Wouldn't stop shaking. Wouldn't let go of her dad. David stood in the doorway, unsure if he even deserved to step in. I wanted to say... I was wrong that day, and I'm sorry for what happened after. I should have spoken up sooner. I should have said something. Marcus looked at him. Not with hate, not with anger, with exhaustion. You scared my child, he said quietly, and she's going to carry that longer than any bruise I got. David nodded. I know, and I can't undo it. But I can stop pretending it's not happening. That conversation didn't fix everything, but it started something. Internal reports, body cam reviews, policy changes, community meetings where people actually listened instead of defended. And Layla? Months later, she stood on a stage again. Same school, new confidence. Front row, Marcus sat next to a white woman he now knew by name. The same one who once spoke up at the crosswalk. She smiled at Layla like she was her own. And in the back of the room, in plain clothes, no badge showing, sat David. Not as a hero, not as a savior, just as a man learning. Layla sang. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. And when she finished, the room stood up. Not because the world was suddenly perfect, not because racism was gone, but because for one moment, people chose to see each other not as threats, but as human. And maybe that's where change really starts.